Hello everyone! Welcome to Did You Stamp Today with Amanda Mertz, and we're going to stamp live in a minute. I just give a minute for everyone to join us who wants to watch live. And I'm going to get this set up so I can see if there's any comments. And make sure I don't have sound up. There we go. How is everyone doing today? Happy Wednesday, and most importantly, happy new mini catalog day. Super exciting. This is customers can order from today until January 5th, and towards the end of the period, don't forget things might be limited in quantities, so order what you want now, don't wait. And today what I'm going to be working with is one of the new online exclusive sets called Gathering Moments. And let me, so you can see the images. It's a nice little fall set with some nice thinking of you, thanks, thankful for you, friendship kind of sentiment. So it's a nice set, and the images are really cute. They're small, but they're mighty, and there's a coordinating die set. We're only going to use one of the dies today to make today's card, but it's a cute set. And then we're also going to be using this already released Blooming Phrases stamp set, and this is also an online exclusive, but I like the long skinny sentiment, so that worked with the layout that I'm going to be using today. So I've got that. Let me try. Every week I seem to struggle when I have to switch the camera, so let's just see what we can do with that. So bear with me while I flip everything around and get you set up on the tripod and see if we can zoom in. Last week we struggled with getting it zoomed in, and let's see. I don't know why. Ooh, there we go. Let me get it. There we go. That wasn't too bad. That was better than last week, but here, now you can see the sentiments and everything not backwards now that we've got the forward-facing camera. So these are what we're going to be working with, and we are going to be you're going to be very underwhelmed when you see the supplies that we're going to be using. So we've got an envelope, piece of basic white, another piece of basic white, long skinny strip. This one is 1/2 inch, and that's long because just in case we don't get the sentiments lined up just right, we've got some extra to work with. And then we've got crumb cake base. So let me just get that folded up and find all my tools. I thought I was going to do a different card, but the more I looked at it, I was like, wow, I'll show you the one that I had made yesterday, intending to just recreate later, but it was going to only take like 2 minutes to put together. So it's kind of the same card, but a little different twist. We're going to move the envelope out of the way. We're going to move, actually, we're going to need 2 of these. So the 2 panels of basic white, they're 4 by 5 1/4. So they're just 1/4 inch smaller than the card base. And we're going to need 2 of those. So one is going to be for the outside front of the card, and the other one is going to be your insert. But we will set that aside for now. And we're going to be using some Old Olive, some crumb cake, some cherry cobbler, and crushed curry. So kind of fallish colors. And so first of all, let's see, what do I want to start with? We're going to start with crushed curry. And I am going to use the large, I guess it's an oak leaf from this set. And we are going to create our own background panel. And so I am just going to stamp this leaf all over, turning it in different directions just to get some good coverage and some color all over. Let's see, do this one this way. And maybe the stem there. And the edge there. All right, well, let's see. Maybe I want a little bit, just a tiny bit. Kind of fill it in and see. And we're gonna, well, while we've got this one open, why don't we stamp? We're gonna stamp this one just because we already have our ink open, and that's just another one. Close that up, and I don't know if you can kind of see where we're going here. I'm going to use next the little mushroom and the cherry cobbler. And again, now I'm just gonna fill in the mushroom just kind of in our open spaces. And I'm not gonna worry much about overlapping. We're just gonna get a nice fill. And some more. Let's fill that one in. Let's do a stem right there. Where else? I think we need some of the color up here. The cherry cobbler is kind of a nice red to use in the fall because it's got that kind of deep color. It's a little less bright, so it kind of blends in a little nicer with the yellows and oranges. It's not quite as stark as real red. Next, we are going to use Old Olive. And where's their stamp? And then we're going to use the little berry stamp. And again, we're just going to fill in kind of that white space around the card, overlapping where we want to. This is really kind of, you do what you want on this one and fill it in, kind of turn it so your berries are all going different directions for interest. Let's do that one. Let's see, where else do we maybe a little overlap up there and a little bit down there. What does that look like? Maybe right there. That looks pretty good. And then next, we are going to use the crumb cake ink. And this stamp, which is kind of a crosshatch plaid, and we are going to stamp over it and kind of fill in these white open spaces. There's not much, but what we're going to do is we're going to stamp off so it looks real faint and just kind of fills in that area. We're giving it kind of a rough, worn look. A little bit there. Just keep turning and filling in and stamping over. Let's see, there and there, a little bit more there. And I'm just trying to fill in where it was really open white, just to give it a little bit more of a vintage look. There we go, we've got that. Let's see, maybe a little bit on some of the, across some of the leaves. Again, so they don't look so white. But it takes the color nicely, so there we're pretty filled in. And next, we are going to use our paper snips. And I'm just gonna rough up the edges a little bit. You can kind of go as much as you want. You just kind of run it across and it just kind of shaves off a little layer. Let's see if I can bring it up to the camera. If you can kind of see right there where it's kind of just distressed a little bit. You can use scissors, you can use your fingernail. Sometimes I think when you use the scissors, it looks a little bit too uniform, so I'll go back in and use my fingers to rough it up, my fingernails to rough it up a little bit. So kind of get all the way around. And just a quick hint when you're doing this, make sure your ink pads are closed, because you can get the little scrapes of paper and then they get on your ink pad and then they just kind of make a mess, and then they stick to your stamps and you might not get a good impression. So just keep your ink pads closed and away from this, and then you can kind of brush that out of the way. All right, so I'm just going to go back and just kind of give these a little bit more. Just some areas, just so it doesn't look so samey all the way around. All right, and next, ready? We're just going to crumple it up. We're going to crumple it up tight, unwrap it, open it back up, crinkle it a different way. Just kind of get some nice deep creases in the cardstock, because we're really trying to make this look a little bit more textured and rough for the background. And let's see, kind of do some deep creases, open it back up. Let's see, kind of really get in there, soften it up, kind of smooth it out. Let's see, down here looks a little less. I know, you're kind of like, I just did all that work and now we're going to crumple it up. Don't worry, it's a cool look. Now we are going to use a blending brush. Oops. And we're going to go back to that crumb cake ink, and we're just going to add just some little bit more to give it some more depth. This is really just, there's no rhyme or reason. You just go around and like it always ends up looking great. Like there's no technique. It's just a little bit of ink. And then what I like to do is kind of find one of those creases and just kind of give that a little bit more ink on it. And then it just gives it just a little bit, I don't know. I like doing it, but you can do it as much or as little as you like. Just kind of fill in those kind of white spots. And now we're going to go for, I know, and now you're like, what, Amanda? We just did all that work and we crumpled and now we're going to cut. We are going to cut. So you're just going to put it in. And again, this one is also no rhyme or reason. It's just kind of wherever you want angles. So we're just going to cut it once this way. We're going to lift up and then we're just going to turn it. And try to keep your patterns lined up as much as you can. It's like a rough thing. And then we're just going to cut across so we end up with 4 pieces. And then watch what we do. We are just going to move them over, and this is going to be a fun background. A fun background to our card piece with a fun little angle in it. It's just a cool way to cut up some paper. You can use designer series paper. You can do a scene and cut it up like, I don't know, like a larger image or a bigger group of flowers or something like that. And then let's see, get my glue in here and we're just going to glue. Now, depending on what your personal preference is, you can space them out so there's a wider gap in between, or you can leave a little edge around the outside for a smaller gap in the middle. And I think I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap and just get these glued down. And if you were wanting to make, try to get that lined up. wanting to make, you know, a bunch of cards, you could do this background technique with the stamping all over on like a full-size sheet of 8.5 by 11, and then just cut it down to your four by 5.25 panels. And, you know, that you would have 4 really quick background pieces without having to stamp each one individually. I don't think I used enough glue on that one. There we go. So that's a good way to do if you wanted to make multiples and then just stamp everything all at once without having to do it 4 times. It's probably easier to do the distressing when they're smaller panels, but the actual stamping part is probably, you can do it that way all at once. So now we've got this nice little background panel. As I was saying earlier, how I was worried that the original card that I wanted to make for you would go too fast. This one's actually going pretty fast too, isn't it? So we've got that. Next, let's see, what do we want to use next? We're going to bring back our cherry cobbler and our long strip. This is just the 1/2 inch that you would cut off the edge to take that one down to be a smaller panel. And the Thinking of You, we're going to stamp this one twice. So we're going to do, I'm going to start on this side. I'm going to try to line it up without getting my head. That's a little crooked. I'll try that one again. The hard part is this, that the G on thinking and the F of, one hangs down low and the other one is pretty high, so it's hard to get it lined up, but I think I like that one. And then the U, you just want to get that one done. And I don't know if you can hear that. I forgot to close my stamp room door and the cat is running around like a lunatic, and you can hear him galloping. He's like 10 pounds, but he sounds like an elephant when he runs. All right, so now we're just going to quickly snip these off. Snip these off. And get some dimensionals. Oh, this one's almost done. Got one there. Let's see, what else do we have? Always have plenty of dimensionals. These are already cut down to size, or a few of them anyway. Y'all don't throw these borders away, right? Everybody knows to use those. That they're perfect to trim down to size when you need a different shape than the little hexagons. So use every little scrap. So we're going to do Thinking of You. Let's see, try to keep that with the angles. But see how it kind of gives a nice little shattered border around, a little detail in the middle. Next, we're going to use, remember we stamped this one earlier, and I am going to do a little, we're going to jazz this leaf up a little bit. I've got my Gold Wink of Stella, and I'm just going to highlight the lines that are already on the image. Like Stampin' Up! Already does all the hard work for us with the details. So I am just following those and just going over them very lightly. Well, some more lightly than others. The veins of the leaves, just to give a little more detail and a little pop of shimmer. Because gold is always a nice accent, right? Especially for this time of year with the rich fall colors. There we go, there's that. And let me pull up my Big Shot and we'll get this one die cut. Get it lined up. Got my painter's tape so there's no slipping. And I want to point out that the online exclusive, the Gathering Together Suite, I think it's Gathering Together Suite, has a beautiful pack of Designer Series paper in the suite. And I got the idea for doing the little gold accents from that because the papers are specialty papers and they have a nice little, can you see the little gold? They have nice gold accents on the papers. So it's really a really pretty, very elegant look. So definitely take a look at that set of papers when you are going to place your orders. And again, they're all online exclusives. All right, let's pull our card back in. Some more dimensionals. Let's see. I think we need bigger dimensionals than the mini ones. I'm just going to do 2. And I'm going to do a little dab of glue up here just for security's sake. Stick that one right on the end. And let's see, what else do we want to do now? It's time to embellish the front. We've got some old olive baker's twine to pull in the old olive from the stamping. And this old olive baker's twine comes in a 2-pack with another roll in early espresso. So that's nice. And again, they coordinate with the paper, the colors in the designer series paper. Trying to hold that, and that's silly. Let's get my bows. I'm not a fantastic bow maker. I say I have boys for a reason because I think I would have struggled with hair bows and such, or though maybe that would have made me a better bow tire if I had girls who needed to have hair bows done. But that's neither here nor there. We make it work with the bows. Use a glue dot. We're going to stick that on. And put that, let's turn it so it doesn't cover up the sentiment too much. And to bring in a tiny bit more gold, I'm going to use these low profile dots, and these came out like back in January, but they're still in the online store. So if you like them, and they're really nice, let me show you if you can see, they're really flat. Like they just have a little tiny bump. So that, I guess that's why they're called low profile. Oops. They're low profile, but they don't stick up a lot. So if you have problems with your post office saying your cards are too fat and giving you a hard time and you're constantly having to pay for extra postage, these are a nice solution to be able to embellish without having the big lumps on your cards. Let me move this aside. Let's see, what else do we want to do? Of course, we need to do the inside, and I think I'm going to use one of the little mushrooms. We'll do a mushroom on the inside. And while we're here, we might as well do the envelope. Maybe a little mushroom there. Let's do the flap. Let's do a mushroom there. Oops, got a little edge. That one I might need to trim that stamp down. It's got kind of a wide, hopefully the ones that you guys order won't have such a wide edge. And I think I'm going to do, let's see, a leaf that way and a leaf that way there. That doesn't look too bad. Kind of covers that up a little bit. And let's get the insert put in the middle. And let's see what else. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't think I am. Oh, I know what I'm forgetting. You always have to stamp your hand stamped by on the back, right? So when they turn it over to look for the Hallmark mark, right? They get the hand stamped mark. And one of my stamping friends signs her initials and the year that she made the card on the back, which I think is kind of cool. It's kind of a artist's mark and kind of dates it, which is kind of fun to look back and see all the cards that you made if you have a lot stored away and pull them out when you need them. I think that's kind of a cool way to do it. Oh, let me do this. All right, so there you go. Like super easy. This layout was one that we actually did as demonstrators at a crafting event, at a demonstrator event last March. And I thought it was cool, and I used that same layout to challenge my stampers to make it, and some of them were like, what is this, look kind of wild with the splits down the middle. So I pointed them back to another card I had made at that event, and I was like, I explain it there. So here's that one, and this one uses the Impressions of Bloom set. So like this one, like I said, when you can do like a scene and then you can cut the panel. And this one I have a wider margin, so they're all the way to the edges. So that's what that one looks like. And the third one, this is one that I had made yesterday playing around with this. And like I said, this one would have taken like 2 seconds because the whole background is Designer Series paper. And this is the paper that I was telling you about. Let me make sure I say the right name. Gathering Together Specialty Designer Series paper. But let's see if I can angle it enough. Can you see the gold leaves? They've got the gold veining on the leaves, which is where I got that idea to do, and I did a little bit of that also in here, but this would have taken like 2 seconds to put together. So I kind of wanted to show a little bit of a different technique with today's card, and it's kind of a busy technique, but it's fun to do. And you could also change the color of the leaf to make it more bold. You could do a bright orange or something like that just to have that pop out more. But I just thought it was a fun technique to do, and a great way if you want to use up panels of Designer Series paper and just kind of highlight a smaller image and then a simple sentiment across the middle. And then same with this one, just to split the sentiment up, add some gems around, just like I added some gems here, and the baker's twine for some texture. But anyway, I hope you learned something and have fun making your own version of these cards. And if you make one, go ahead and tag me on it. I'd love to see your version. And if you're one of my customers, check out the our private customer Facebook page where everybody gets to share their own projects and what they're working on. And that's where I've got this layout challenge listed, and I'd love to see what you create with that. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Oh, I see Virginia has joined us. Hi, Virginia. Yes, this distressing technique is kind of fun. It's you just kind of keep adding, keep going, keep kind of turning up the edges, and we can do a little bit more of that on this one. You can do little tears just to give it some texture, but it's kind of fun just to keep building layers on your card background and kind of making your own Designer Series paper. And I guess that's it. Thank you all so much for joining me. Again, this is Amanda Mertz at Did You Stamp Today, and this is my live stamping session called Let's Stamp Today. And I hope that you find some time to try this technique out and take a look at all of the new products that Stampin' Up! Just came out with today. Thanks so much. Have a great day.